Dun, dun, dun. Hello, hello, hello. Hey everyone, it is Aunt Carla from Marie Luzo. Hey, 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 hey. So I'm doing something new today. I am showing up on YouTube. This is the debut of the Ask Auntie show, at least the live version. I've been threatening to do this for a while. And if you have been attending any of my master classes, we've been doing since last March when the pandemic started. I've been doing classes every week, and it was so much fun, but it got to be a lot of work. So I made the decision at the end of last year that I would do a new masterclass on Zoom once a month. But then there'd be like all these other Sundays where nothing is going on. And I think everybody kind of missed each other. You know, we had all this great um, community going. So we're like, hey, how can I do something in between? So what I'm going to do now is so the plan now is to still do the weekly master class once a month, but for the other 3 Sundays to do like something live like this on YouTube, so you can tune in or not, but if you're not able to watch it, you can watch the replay. So if you happen to be watching this on the replay, well, like if you're watching this live, say hi in the chat. If you are watching this on the replay, let me know that you're watching on the replay. So we're just trying something out. But you know what? I'm nervous. I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing something new. But we've been doing these master classes for almost a year now. So I shouldn't be nervous, but it's like a new technology or like a new channel. And we'll see how that goes. So today's topic is, what is magic power? And it kind of started because I had been thinking about what is magical confidence. And I was having, I guess a lot of these things start with, like, they start with you, right? Before I could teach something, I might have been going through my own stuff, and then it became like, the sermon for the week. So I was thinking about magical confidence, my confidence, other people's confidence, and I get a lot of DMs in my Instagram account about, am I a witch, or how do I know how to do this, or am I doing this right? So I wanted to address that today, but I also have some other things to talk about. I'm just going to be on for an hour today, but I did a road opening spell last week, so I want to talk about how that went, and I'll do that at the end. But before I do that, I'll talk about the other topics in the meantime. So let's see. So let me see. Where do I start with? Uh, what is magical confidence? Like, I guess first question is, has anyone here in the Facebook group, because I have a witchy happy hour once a month, and yesterday we had a witchy happy hour, which was really fun. It was hosted by Shoshana, and hey there, yay! Thank you so much. So yesterday we had witchy happy hour, and it was so good. It's always really good. If you're not part of the group, you can get to it by joining queenupclub.com/FB. I think I'll try to type that in there. This is my first time doing this, so I mean, how hard? Well, you never ask that question. How hard can something be? Clean Up Club. I could spell club.com, because everything I do on YouTube I could do here, right? FB. Boop. Okay. Oh, great, great, great. Oh, hey, Jazz. How are you doing? So I put the link there for the FB. So if you're not already in the Facebook group, you can join it and get to hear about the monthly witchy happy hour. So as I was saying, yesterday, Shoshana was hosting, and when I was in the group, I was asking the question, what is magical confidence? And I got all kind of answers. Oh, have I ever worked with Lord Ganesha? Nope, nope. I'm not familiar. There's so many, right? There's so many different orishas and other deities and ancestors and things like that. But no, I've heard of or I've read about, but I do not personally work with Lord Ganesha or Ganesha. I'm not even sure how to pronounce it correctly. Oh, but if you are new to, to all of the magic family, as I call it, everyone is welcome. So one thing that might be different from maybe other groups that you're in, I really welcome people of all different backgrounds, different magical paths, different experience levels, different different sexual orientations, genders, like everyone is welcome because there's so much that we can learn and teach, one another. And if you've ever attended the master classes, you know that when we get together, people will share all kinds of great information with each other. They'll say, "Oh, check out check out this website or read this book." So another way that we can still have that kind of sharing is like if you like put it down in the chat, like if there's something you want to share, definitely let us know, because I can't know everything. I mean, I know a lot, but I don't know everything. And I'm limited by what I know, but I learned so much from all of you who like ask questions and and share. So, definitely continue to do that. Oh, he's Hindu. Okay. Thank you. So we're talking about magical confidence, and I was asking the question, well, what is magical confidence? Like, what do you think that is? And here are some of the answers that I received. So some people came up with faith, like just like I have faith that I can do things with my magic. Others, intuition, like I just feel it. I have a sense that my intuition is leading me in the right way. And Shoshana's mother, Carol, she said decision, like making that decision that everything she does or everything that she sees is magic. And I was reminded of a famous quote by Albert Einstein, the scientist. He said, "You have to decide whether or not you believe that everything is a miracle or nothing is a miracle." And I like that because you have to either make that decision. Do you feel magical? Do you feel there's magic around you? Or do you feel like there's nothing there? Does that resonate with anyone? Another definition of magical confidence is accepting yourself, saying, okay, I know what I know and I can do this or not do this, but it's accepting yourself. And then I also like to add things like knowledge, like doing that research, doing that background information, that practice and that study, and also experience, because when we have experience doing rituals and spells, then we can feel like, yeah, I did that. I did that. Does anyone have that feeling when you're like, you do a spell and then you're like, oh my God, I did that. And the more experiences that you have like that, the more that you can feel confident and powerful, dare I say it. So I feel that confidence comes from experience as well as study. And after you've performed several spells and gotten results, that's when you start to feel confident about your ability. But what if you've never done spells before, or if you feel like they haven't been successful, then that means you're going to want to increase your magical knowledge. Now, the thing I like to remind people is that magic has been around for thousands of years. So if you need someone to come out and say it, I'll say it. Magic exists. It is a thing. But in order for you to make it work, it's important that you know what you're doing. So that means reading books, like I was saying, reading books and maybe using the internet. It means talking with experienced it means talking with experienced, I could speak, experienced spiritual practitioners. Say that 5 times fast. And learning from teachers, but not instead of doing the research yourself. In magic, I feel like there's so many fascinating rabbit holes to travel. And if you are new and you ask someone a question and someone tells you about a book, or maybe they tell you, hey, Google that, please don't be offended. Please don't, because there's so much to be learned by taking that journey to answer your own question. Now, you will inevitably find yourself asking even more questions as you do your research, but that's a wonderful thing. And you'll soon learn that there can be different answers to the same question. You could ask 3 different spiritual practitioners a question and get 3 different answers and find that none of them resonate with you. So the more that you read and you study and you practice, the more you're going to come up with your own answer. And your intuition will eventually lead the way, but your studies will be the foundation. So that means study and research. And before you practice magic, you just want to learn how that works. So if you're starting out in magic and you want to learn more, I do have a course on this. And that is, I have a Witch 101 course, and that is queenupclub.com/witch. So if that calls to you, definitely, check that out. Lucky Charm. I've only done one or two spells in my entire life. They were done when I was 20, 21 years old. What would you suggest to get started now? I'm 43, LOL. It's never too late to start. I'm curious, like, what happened when you stopped and then you restarted? I mean, sometimes we get scared, or maybe, we're with family members or people who are kind of like, uh, I don't know, judgmental, and then we might not do it. But I'd say, just like no matter what age you are, if you're getting started, or if you're just deciding to go deep, then I say start thinking about what interests you. Are you interested in spells? Are you interested in crystals? I mean, you could definitely take classes that you can take. There are things available. There are books. There's all kind of books. Um, but I kind of feel like start with what is pulling you, what's calling you first, because you're going to end up going in like a spiral direction. You're going to start reading about this one thing, and then that's going to lead you to another place, and you're going to start reading about that. And I kind of feel like it's good to follow your passion, like follow your curiosity. You don't have to start practicing anything yet. And I think it's good to just do a lot of reading, learning about herbs, learning about astrology, learning about crystals. There's so many different places to go. But then there's also what kinds of magic are there, and what is the history of that particular practice. So I say start with what calls you and see where that leads you. But if you want something more like a more foundational thing, as I said, I do have a Witch 101 course, and it just kind of tells you all the different things that you can read about. Yes, yes, Lucky Charm. I got that. Family members fear I have more spiritual knowledge now. Drawn to a lot of card decks. There you go. Do I have? Yeah. I have about right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in front of me, and I have more like around. So like the tarot card decks, or even if you're using like playing cards, because some people use that, they're a really good tool for your intuition. And even though you said like when you were 20, 21, you were interested, that interest probably never went away, even if you felt kind of, not wanting to do it with your family members. So you might have still been on that place of what is magic, or there's something inside you that was feeling like, I know things. I feel like I have a connection to the divine that doesn't necessarily make sense by the traditional society. What is that about? Maybe I have certain dreams, or I see things, or I hear things, I feel things. And a lot of us have these extra sensory, I suppose, reactions to things, and we know things and we don't know why, but we're like, there's more to it. And here it is now. You're older, you're more confident, your life situation is different, and you have the ability to pursue it. So yeah. There you go. Yeah, I'm glad. And now that you're older, it's harder for people to tell you what to do. When you're 20, your parents or whomever can be like, don't do that, rah, rah, rah. But you're 40, you're like, you know what? I can do whatever I want. I have kids or family of my own, or I have a life of my own, and I can do what I want, and I have more privacy now, and you have more freedom. So like, if it's card decks that you're starting with, go ahead and like learn more about those things and follow your heart. See what these things mean, because and you know what, that might be the only thing you're into. You might say, okay, I like tarot cards, and then that might be it, and you might not want to do anything else, and that's fine. Like I have a book, I have a course, Tarot 101. I think that's at queenupclub.com/tarot. But you might not need a course. You might just really have an intuitive feel for interpreting cards. And I think tarot cards, or any kind of divination, where some people might use runes, some people read tea leaves, some people throw bones. There's all of these different methods. And all it is like a way of connecting your intuition with whatever shows up, whether it's like the cards, the symbols on the cards, or the shapes that are formed by bones, or the meanings in the runes, or the tea leaves. So like follow whatever that is, and you can take baby steps. And I feel like, following this magical path you could do it for the rest of your life. So there's no rush. Hope that helps. Let's see. Oh, how do spells work? So that's another question I have here on my list. So how do spells work? How do spells work? So I created an equation to explain how I believe magic works. And it's desire plus belief plus knowledge plus effort equals results. And I'll break that down. So for me, I feel desire is having the focused intention to create change, like there's something you want. And belief is having faith that you can create the change. Knowledge is being educated in the proper tools and traditions and having access to others with that education. And effort is, performing the correct actions on both the magical and the mundane levels before and after the ritual is completed. So I'm going to break this down with a real example. Let's say that you want to perform a ritual to get a new job. You're like, I don't like the job I have, or maybe you're not working and you're like, okay, I want a job. So if desire means having the focused intention to create change, that means being clear in the kind of job that you want. It means like if you can't decide on the kind of position that you want, or if you really don't want to work at all, your mixed messages will cause your spell to fail. So sometimes, we'll say that, oh, I want to do this thing, but we don't really want to do it. And if you have any kind of mixed message, that means your desire is not like 100% where it needs to be. So your desire means like, I really need this money. I really need this job. I really want to meet my soulmate. I really want to do whatever that thing is. Your desire has to be 100%, no wavering. Now, belief is having the faith that you can create change. And it means believing that you can do this new job. We're talking about a new job. And it's also having a belief that magic works. So if you take, let's say, an hour to perform a spell, but you spend 2 weeks worrying about whether or not you did it correctly, that can delay the results that you seek. So if knowledge is being educated in the proper tools and traditions and having access to others with that, having access to others with this education, that means knowing what colors to use, what herbs to use, and crystals to use, and to understand why you're using them. Magical traditions are powerful because they've been used for thousands of years. You don't have to guess what to use. If you want results, then you want to make sure that you know the difference between basil and rosemary. These are two different herbs with different spiritual powers. So you wouldn't want to choose items that aren't related to your desired outcome. Now, if effort is performing the correct actions on both the magical and mundane levels before and after the ritual is completed, that means performing the magical ritual correctly and then following up with the actions on the non-magical level. So as I said, if you're performing the ritual for a new job, you may decide to update your resume or get a hunch. You might get a hunch to call your old manager. And these ideas are not as random as you think. So spirit is leading you, and it's leading you to take these actions in real life. And they are just as important as performing the ritual. And so rituals, spells, whatever, however you want to call them, they're a symbolic way of sending your intention into the universe. And after you complete your ritual, you will start to receive responses, or you will receive hunches, ideas, inspirations that are also from the universe. So it's really a two-way kind of conversation. You're saying, this is my intention, this is my desire. So you're also going to get answers and messages on also things that you can do to move closer to your desired outcome. So when you have a candle on your altar, that represents you and your connection to the divine. As candles melt, your desire is sent into the astral plane or the divine matrix, the ether, the universe, whatever you'd like to call that. Water represents spirit, and having a candle and water on your altar knows that it lets spirit know that you're about to get to work. So I don't have a candle lit at the moment, but I have water. Um, Having a candle and water, it's like for me, that's like that's my work light. That's me saying, "Hey, I'm about to do some work. I'm about to create some magic right now." I light that candle and I have water. I might also have some incense going, and that's before I even do any other kind of spell. That's me just saying, "Okay, the work light is on. Spirit, I'm about to get to work." So I also might have earth. Earth will be represented by plants and crystals and other items that correspond with your specific intentions. And air in the form of incense also sends your wishes into the astral plane. So by performing a ritual, you're basically manipulating and influencing the energies of the natural world to manifest your desire. So if you want to learn more about that, I also have a course on that called Own Your Power. And you can check that out at queenupclub.com/power. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Um, so you said you can read. I've been told I can read cards, but scared to start. But I want to exercise the intuitive muscle. Well, there's nothing wrong with reading cards, right? There's nothing wrong with. I mean, again, there's so much out there in other religions that say this is bad, but tarot is basically just following read like there's symbols in the cards. And some people even do this with regular playing cards, with the diamonds, the spades, the hearts, and whatever the clubs. And but with the tarot, for example, there are certain symbols, there's colors, there's shapes, there's animals, and they mean something to us like on a subconscious level. So if someone asks a question, or say you ask a question, when you pull a card, it gives you an answer, or you are able to interpret an answer from that. And if you want to learn more about the tarot, then I would say just do like a daily pull. One of the most basic things, if anyone is interested in learning more about like reading tarot or using any other kind of divination form, I recommend that you get yourself a journal, like a little book to write in. So get your tarot cards, a journal, and then do what I call a daily pull. And you'd pull one card. Some people might pull three. Like you ask a question and then you pull the cards. And then also you need a guidebook that goes with the tarot. So what I like to do when I first started out, I had a book called, and I still have it, The Complete Idiot's Guide to the Tarot and Fortune Telling. So I would ask a question, I'd pull three cards, I would write down what I thought it meant, and then I'd also read what the book said that it meant. And I got to see how close my answers were or not, because your answers do not have to fit what the book says. But by keeping a journal, what's most important is you go back to your journal and then you say, oh, remember that time I asked about this thing? Then the future will tell you whether or not you were right, or was it what the book said? So this is just a way of learning how to trust your intuition so that you can see what is meaningful to you. Hey, Eloy, how are you doing? Eloy, if you're able to hang out, I'm gonna do the I have like at the end of this class, I'm going to show you about my road opener spell that I was talking about yesterday in the Witchy Happy Hour. So I'm going to like put it in the group, but I'm going to show you a little about what I did. So we're talking today about magical confidence. So at the end of all of this, all of the things I'm breaking down, I'm going to show you like a real life spell that I did last week and how the results came out. Oh, that's right. There you go. Eloy says, I like to think of tarot as a conversation. Ooh, it's so true. It's so true. All right. So we're talking about how the spells work, right? So let's see. What else do I have here for you? Your word is your wand. Your word is your wand. So last week on Witch With Me TV, I did a little spot on your word is your wand. And as magical people, as spiritual people, I think it's important to know how powerful our word is. So I want to talk about that for a little bit. And I'll be talking about pretty much the same thing I said there, but I just want to make sure to really break it down because I'm trying to go into themes. So for me, this week, or at least the last 2 weeks, magical confidence, what is magic power? Those questions have been like on my mind. So I wanted like today's class show, I don't know what to call this. Um, it's kind of covering that theme. So when it comes to your word, I say that your word is your wand, as in magical wand. And when we are performing spells, we often recite an incantation, or we'll read a prayer or a petition letter that states our desired outcome, right? And that's because there's actual power that comes, with the spoken word. And it's through like the element of air. We talk about the different elements: earth, fire, air, water. Spoken word it represents air. So it's good to be clear on our desire, whatever it is that we want. It's powerful to write it down, but we take things to a whole new level when we say it out loud during a ritual with emotion. This way, we are literally speaking life into our desires. So if there's something that we desire, we must name it and claim it. Like say it with our chest, like, I want this, I'm activating this, this is what I'm trying to do. It can't be like, do I have to say it out loud? Yes, you do. Free that throat chakra because there is so much power in that. So if you want to add more power to your spells, like if you're feeling like, well, I'm not really sure, I suggest that you speak life into every stage of your ritual. So when you gather your herbs or your flowers or your crystals for a spell, make sure that you know what their spiritual power is. So here's this book. I've talked about it all the time. Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. Many herbs and crystals have multiple spiritual powers. So to activate the specific power that you want, you could take that herb or the crystal in your hand and you tell it what you want it to do. So you could say, for example, rose quartz, increase the love in my life. Or thyme, thank you for granting me success in business. Or rosemary, I activate your powers of protection. You're telling it, being specific, you're telling it what you want it to do for you and for your ritual. So you activate each item as you place it on your altar or you add it to your potion. And if your ritual requires that you mix things together, then you say your incantation or your prayer or read your intention letter while you're mixing it. So, and as you do this, you're adding more power of intention to your spell just by saying it out loud. And when your spell is complete, give thanks to the deity that you're working with, or your ancestors, or your universe for granting your desire as if you have already received it. That's also where that confidence comes through. You're giving it that, thank you so much, ancestors. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Yemaya. Thank you, Venus. Whoever you are working with, speak it, name it, and claim it. Now, in other parts of our life, in our mundane day-to-day life, we sometimes forget about the power of our words. And it can be very easy to be careless. And we might, without thinking, say things like, I'm broke, I'm tired, or, if we make a mistake, we're like, you suck to yourselves. We do this, right? And when we're angry with others, we might sometimes say hurtful things that can't be unsaid. And you might say, well, I don't really mean that, or it doesn't mean anything, or they know I didn't mean that. Well, nothing could be farther than the truth. Like, those words hurt. They hurt other people, but they also hurt when you're saying these negative things to yourself. And there's even a verse in the Bible for all of my Bible friends here, or anyone who use the Bible as a spiritual tool, as a book of spells. There's a line and there's a verse in the Bible that says, life and death are in the power of the tongue. And that's because, in truth, our words are affirmations. Every time that we say something, we're either blessing or cursing a situation. So be clear on your intention before you speak, because remember, your word is your wand. um, do, 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 do. Oh, can I do spells with just incense and a tiny candle? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because a tiny candle would have your intention. Like you'd say, okay, this candle represents my desired outcome for, I want a new job. I'm just using that as a base. It could be whatever you want. But let's say this is the job that I want, and this is the candle. By lighting the candle, your candle is representing your desired outcome. And as it melts, it disappears, right? It melts, it transforms into either like a ball of wax, or depending on the kind of candle you use, it sort of like disappears. So when your candle disappears, your intention is going out into the universe. If you're using incense as well, your incense is also taking, as it swirls up into the air, it is taking your intention, your dream into the universe as well. So that's very simple. And yes, you can. So if all you have is, because even if you don't even have incense, if all you have is a candle and you focus, that is a spell. If you can say something out loud, definitely use it. And that way you're using the power of air through your spoken word. So think about that. Okay, so let's see. What else do I have for you? Okay. Magical correspondence for spells. So I was saying earlier that having confidence in magic can come a lot from your knowledge. Like, what do you know about magic? What do you know about studying, what it is that you're trying to do? This is a craft. This is a practice. Magic is a practice, and magic is a craft. And both of those things mean practice makes perfect. We're always doing it. When we're thinking about getting better at learning about things, we're doing things. If you're a carpenter, that's a craftsman, or craftsperson, shall we say. Someone who's a blacksmith. These are all crafts, and the only way to get better is to do it. There's no way to like skip steps on this. But before you can start practicing, you have to know like your basics. Like if you're a carpenter, you'd have to know about different kinds of wood. You'd have to know about what tools to use, what kind of saw to use. Not every kind of wood can be used a certain kind of way. Or maybe when you're nailing something, you can't nail it in a row because it might split. So there's all these things, not like I'm a carpenter or anything like that, but there are things that a carpenter would need to know before they start to build a house. So that's where that foundation of knowledge comes from. And it's no different from when we are magical people, spiritual practitioners. So we need to know about what are magical correspondences for spells. So one of my mentors likes to say, magic demands change. So that means when you're performing a ritual, you are demanding a transformation. And rituals incorporate natural elements, as I mentioned, earth, air, fire, water, because everything in the universe is made up of a combination of these different elements. So when we place these natural elements on our altar, they act like batteries to power our spell. So adding elements you can use intuition to choose which elements you want to use, but you never need to guess. As again, I mentioned, Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. It lists hundreds of herbs, their spiritual powers, as well as their correspondences, which are also known as associations. So what is a correspondence? So in addition to a spiritual herb, and in addition to a spiritual power, an herb will have an association with a natural element as well as a planet. So depending on the type of magic that you're doing, you may choose an herb that corresponds to a particular planet or element. So now no, not everyone goes this deeply with their plant magic, but some of you do. So I want to make sure that I'm covering everybody. But let's say you want to create a protection spell, and you want to use the herb rosemary. So you pick up a book like, Encyclopedia Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. So rosemary, he'll say, let's see, let's go pick, let's see what does it say about rosemary. Rosemary, I already, okay, this is one of my favorite herbs. So rosemary is good for protection, but also love, lust, mental powers, exorcism, purification, healing, sleep, and youth. Youth. Okay. So it's going to tell you, this book will tell you about the magical uses of rosemary. It says when it's burned, it emits powerful cleansing and purifying vibrations. You could place it under your pillow. You could wear it in like a sachet. Some people use it on incense burned on charcoal. And it says rosemary is generally used as a substitute for frankincense. So these are just different ways. This book will tell you these are the different ways you can use it, and these are the magical powers. But it also says the element is fire. So rosemary is associated with the element of fire, and it's also associated with the sun. So if you're using if you're working with a particular kind of magic and you want to include more fire in it, or you want to work with the sun, rosemary would be a good thing for you. But if you're just saying, okay, I want to do protection, rosemary, just knowing that rosemary is for protection will be enough. Now, similarly, crystals have spiritual powers, and they correspond to different chakras in the body. So if crystals, I know I have a lot of crystal witches here. I have a book here, The Crystal Bible by Judy Hall, that can also give you a lot of information on those correspondences. Now, other correspondences include the magical timing of your spell. So, for example, you might be using astrology to perform a spell. I think we're in Pisces now. Are we in Pisces yet? Pisces season? Anybody know? Are we in Pisces? Well, I'll get back to the tarot cards. Do 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 do. So I think it's Pisces season now. If not now, it will be soon. So there are different magical rituals or things. There's the energy of Pisces season. And if you want to incorporate a particular spell that will be helpful during this season, then you could definitely use it during. So if you want, let's see, psychic powers is good during Pisces. So let's say you wanted to increase your personal psychic powers, and if you wanted to do that during Pisces season, that would be a really good thing to do. You don't have to use astrology, but many people do. But you might be working with a particular phase of the moon. So there are other correspondences. For example, the new moon corresponds with setting intentions. And the waning moon, after the full moon is decreasing or waning, that corresponds with removing obstacles. So by performing rituals at specific times of the month, you're using the energies that are the strongest at that time. So this is what we mean about corresponding. What corresponds with the outcome that you're trying to get. This is also true for working with days of the week. Each day corresponds with a different planet or celestial body. So Mondays are ruled by the moon, Sundays are ruled by the sun, for example. So their energies are different. Mondays are ruled by the moon, and it's often very a reflective, intuition kind of energy. Tuesdays are ruled by Mars, so that's a great day for action and getting things done. Like, I'm gonna make something happen, because it's a more of aggressive energy. That's that correspondence. Sundays, today is Sunday. It's ruled by the sun, so it's health. It's a great day for doing spells for health, for healing, vitality, things like that. So this is what I mean by correspondences. So if you're still very new to learning about magic, you definitely want to learn about correspondences. Now, if you want to learn more about how to time your spell, you can check out the book Moonology by Yasmin Boland. So the more that you learn about these different magical correspondences, the more confident you can feel about the magic that you're doing. And as I said, remember that magic has been practiced for thousands of years. And there's lots of teachers, books, and websites and other things available. So you do not have to guess when it comes to knowing about magic. So like you learn about these different correspondences, you learn about the herbs. Like if you want to be, if you are a plant witch, you are a green witch, then make sure you learn about those different kind of herbs. If you're into crystals, what do these crystals that you have, what are they doing? And the more you learn about those things, the more you can feel confident about, okay, I know that I want to do this spell, and I know because I've read this thing or that thing, I know which crystals to use, I know which herbs that I want to use. Yes. Nicole G says, use the energy of our Pisces intuitiveness and mysticism. That's right. That's like Pisces is all about that. Ooh. So yeah, so let's see. And then when all is said and done, magically, I want to talk about some mundane magic. What's mundane magic, you say? So when all is said and done magically, after you've done your ritual, it's still important to add mundane elements to your spell. What does mundane mean? Mundane means non-magical things. We do poof, poof, and we're trying to make all these wonderful things happen, using our mind, using our spells. But the mundane things involve things like cleaning your house, doing the dishes. Not just chores, but just the things that, writing a letter to a person who needs, you need to ask them to do something. It's just, in other words, pray and move your feet. So moving your feet is the mundane thing, but it's still very important. So back to the new job example, if you're doing a spell for a new job, on the mundane side of things, it's still important to do things like update your resume, research the company that you want to work for, and finally apply to jobs. It's not like, okay, it could be, if you want to do a spell and then just expect someone to show up, it doesn't totally work that way because you have to meet your desired outcome halfway. Now, you might say, that's not magic. No, because it's still important to take these actions. Even from like a law of attraction standpoint, you want to get in the mindset of, I'm getting a new job and I'm also telling the universe that I am ready. And this is about getting into alignment with your desired outcome. So you can go through the steps. Now, this is something that can actually happen. So let's say you do a spell, right, for a new job. You could go through the steps of researching a company, updating your resume, applying for several jobs, only to get a call from an old coworker or a boss who says, how soon can you start? Like, you don't even have to do anything. All you have to do is show up. And would you say that work was unnecessary? I would say no, because by doing those things, by getting yourself together, by getting your resume started and all that stuff, you were getting into alignment. You were saying, I'm ready for this new job. You don't know where this job was going to come from, but you were getting ready for it. Or after doing a ritual, you might get a hunch to go to a particular store. And then when you get to that store, you might run into somebody that you maybe don't even know who tells you about a job opening. And that inspiration that you received to go to that store, that was the universe speaking back to you. And you still had to take that mundane action of following through. So make sure that you are taking mundane actions in addition to the magical ones. So before, I guess that's really all I had for the teaching part, or like the sermon part. I don't know, but especially because Eloy is here, I want to talk about the spell I did last week. I'm so pleased with it. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. So, Eloy, I'm so glad you're here because I got to tell you about it. I'm really excited. So, I was saying last week that, or I was saying that magical confidence had been on my mind. And as a teacher, as a magical teacher, as a spiritual teacher, I don't do as much magic like for myself. I just don't have the need at the moment. I also think it's just the time of my life. There's times when you're like in my 20s, I was doing love spells all the time because I was single and I wanted a boyfriend. I was doing magic all the time. But now I'm married, I'm in a good place. I don't really feel a need for doing as much as I used to, but that's okay. We go through phases, we go through seasons. So, uh I teach magic all the time. I show spells, all this other stuff. But when it comes to, uh, doing my own, I just don't really feel a need. So in December, I was having this weird feeling that something wasn't working right with my Instagram, and it even sounds so lame to even talk about, like, oh, I'm having a problem with my Instagram. But I was. And the thing about Instagram or Facebook, when you're having issues, um, it's not really easy to contact people. Like if anyone, has ever had like a problem with Facebook, like to talk to a real person, it's like, so like I'd had like this, my the ads, I was trying to boost posts, for example, and they kept saying, oh, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. And I didn't think they were rejecting me. I thought I was just having a problem. And I thought maybe just something I wasn't doing, or there's like, try again. So I kept trying again and nothing was working. I'm like, ah. And then the other thing that happened was, so I couldn't do an ad, and I my numbers went up for like 100 people, and then they went back down like very soon after, and then the number just stayed the whole time. And I'm like, what the hell? Now, I had a friend of mine just this week say, uh, Instagram numbers are, they're not your, they don't, they don't mean that's not uh, your self-esteem or something like that. I'm like, no, it's not part of my self-esteem, but it is part of my business model. Therefore, I have to work this out. So this is just letting you know where I was. And I'm like, okay, but I still thought I'm a magical person. I'm thinking positive things. I'm getting into alignment. I'm thinking happy thoughts. It's going to work itself out. That's not what happened. So finally, last week, I had to do some magic. I had to do a road opener spell. This is Abre Camino, or open road. I got this candle here from Original Botanica in the Bronx in New York. I live in New York, about 45 minutes outside of the city. So what I did was I went shopping there earlier in the year, and I just bought I went on a shopping spree, and one of the things I bought was this candle. And I got the candle thinking maybe I might need it, because I think I went like in January, and I was still thinking about my problem, but I was like, well, I don't know if I'm really going to need it, but I'm sure I can teach a class about it. And if like earlier in this in this YouTube, I have another page, I have another video on an open road thing, but I haven't had to use one in a while, so I didn't have. Well, let's just say I was using an older recipe. But now this was my moment when I was feeling slightly desperate. I had this candle. I had been at the store and I'd bought a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't need. But because I was there, I just bought a lot of stuff. So last week, I hit that moment where that's when my desire came, that my desire was like, okay, we want to fix this. We want to fix this. We want to get this settled. We want to sort out this problem. I don't know what's going on, but that was my desire right there. I'm like, my desire is telling me that I can make this happen. I mean, or like, I need this. My desire is like, oh, I need this to happen. So actually, if I'm going to walk through like the steps of the spell, but desire starts first. You have to have that thing like, I want this. I really want this. And I didn't feel this way until last week, because that's when I realized my numbers hadn't changed in 2 months. And I was like, something is wrong. And I couldn't just reach out to someone and say, hey, can you help me? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to use magic. So be it. I'm going to have to use magic, and I don't care what anybody thinks. So desire is the first step. So I made the decision. I am going to do this. This is what I want. Next step, belief. Okay, I know I can do it. But I will say this, while I was working through this spell, I happened to find an old petition letter from an older spell. Some people like to throw out their petition letters. I like to keep mine. And I'm glad I did, because this letter, oh, do I still have it? It was from, oh yeah, I do. I was talking about, I did a money drawing candle in January 2019. And I was saying, you know, I want to create at least X amount of dollars with my spiritual business. And I said, I have t-shirts and online courses available. People like my classes, you know, blah, blah, blah. I mean, just different things. But when I looked at the date was January 11th, 2019. If any of you know this, I did not start the Marie Lazeau page until August 2019. So that means it came through. So when it comes to belief, I had proof better than I could even think about that I have done magic before. I have been successful before. Therefore, I will be successful again. So finding this letter just made me feel like, oh my goodness, I can do this. Okay, I can do this. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to make it happen. Okay, so that was the belief. So that was the belief taken care of. Knowledge. Okay, so I told you I had bought a whole bunch of different herbs. So I'm like, let me choose some herbs that I need. And then I did the effort of doing the spell. So let me walk you through what I did. I'm going to tell you the different herbs I have. This is like my dollar store book of shadows, by the way. You don't need spend a lot of money. I'm telling you. All right. So I went to Original Botanica in the Bronx, by the way, if anyone wants to know. And they do have mail order. So I used Abre Camino herbs. Well, I already told you I bought a candle. This was like already prefixed. And this actually burned all of 7 days. Like, it wasn't one of those candles that you get from the dollar store that they say 7 days, but they burn out in like 4. This took a full 7 days. It was prefixed. It had it smelled really sweet. And it had even, what do you call it? Like glitter on the top. It was already made. So like, don't get on my case. Let me see. Can you see? And it burned all the way through. See the bottom of that was the rest of the glitter. All right, so I bought, here is Abre Camino herbs. Let's see if you can see it. So Abre Camino is a plant. Like, I don't know the actual name of the plant, but in certain spiritual practices, Abre Camino is just called Abre Camino because it is used for opening the road. All right. That was, by the way, this is what they call a bath plant. They have you can buy them. You could just put them in. When you get them like this, it's just the herbs in this envelope, and it's just saying you can, what do you call it? You can put it in your bathtub, so you know it's safe to use. But basically, it's a bag with a smaller bag of herbs in it. All right. Rue. I also got the same thing for rue. If you speak Spanish, you might know this as ruda. And I didn't mess with the little sticks. I just took like the ground herbs at the bottom. So that's ruda. So ruda or rue is for uncrossing. Then I had sage. I used some garden sage, not white sage. I don't have any more left of that, but it was like fresh garden sage. Sage is purification. Then I also used Hyssop. Hyssop is for purification. Hyssop is also referred to in the Bible. I will wash myself with hyssop and be whiter than snow or something like that. So this is what hyssop kind of looks like. I don't know if you could see it too well. Yeah, so that's hyssop. Then I got lemongrass. So all this is part of knowledge. It's like grabbing all of the herbs that I have picked up and putting them together. So I'm using my knowledge of herbs to make the spell happen. This is lemongrass. This is what the lemongrass look like. See, just got all of these herbs at that time. 5-finger grass. You get the idea. 5-finger grass, cassia chips, Epsom salts. I had some sandalwood stick incense. So like I crumbled up the sandalwood part, put it in this mortar and pestle. So as I was saying earlier, as I added each of these herbs to the mortar and pestle, I'd say, I activate abre camino. I activate your powers of road opening. Rue, I activate your powers of uncrossing, and so on and so on. I was telling each herb what I wanted them to do. And then after I added, and then, by the way, I don't have like a particular recipe. I just felt like I just put in whatever I'm feeling. So then I would, as I was grinding up the herbs, then I was telling the herbs, open up the roads for me. I need help. I need help. Open up those roads. And that's really what I was doing. And then, and then I lit an incense. I took what I did first, I put it all in a jar. This is a jar used for something else. After I mixed everything up the way I liked, this is like kind of what it looked like. Then I took a little bit of that incense and I burned it in a mini cauldron. And this became my incense. This was my air. So I lit the charcoal tablet because it won't like burn just by burning it directly. I had the charcoal tablet in the cauldron. I lit the charcoal tablet and then I put the incense on there. And then it starts, what do you call it? it starts smoking, it starts airing. And then I did the rest of the spell. And this is what I'll do. I hope I have enough time. So here's the candle. I put a bowl in a bowl. In this candle, I put a bowl. I put a small bowl, just a Pyrex bowl. But in this bowl, I sprinkled all the herbs inside here. And in this larger bowl, I added a whole bunch of crystals that I had that I wanted to help with my outcome. So for example, carnelian for courage, black tourmaline for releasing negativity, green aventurine for money, tiger's eye. I had Larimar, jasper, all these things. So I have the candle. I had the herbs sprinkled. I didn't put the herbs on the candle because they usually will burn up. And, that's too much of a fire hazard for me. So I put the candle in this bowl with these herbs, in this larger bowl with all of these crystals, including a clear quartz crystal that amplifies everything. And this was basically my altar. I lit the candle and I kept it in a safe spot, and that was my ritual. So for my results, I got the idea to look up YouTube, find out what was going on with my page. So turns out that there was like a block. So I fixed the block. I'm like, okay, so maybe I wouldn't have looked at it had I not been doing this candle, but it really like had me set to find answers. So everything that I wanted worked out. I found new solutions, and I received money that I wasn't expecting, like a nice chunk of change. And I'm like, wow. I felt like this road opening candle acted as a laxative. It cleared out all these obstacles that were in my way. So that was my spell. That was so going back to the effort. I put the effort together of doing the ritual. I did the effort of doing of checking out my account and doing the things that I was supposed to do, and I got the result. So that's what it comes down to. Desire plus belief plus knowledge plus effort equals results. So that is my road opening spell. Ta-da! All right, so it is 3:59. I don't know if this thing is going to turn off automatically or not. If it doesn't, we will just keep going on for questions. So does anyone have any questions on what I did? If not, we can continue this conversation like on Marie Laveau or something. But that was my experience with this road opening spell, and I feel definitely feeling more confident about the work that I did. And I'm like, oh, I still got it. Thank you, Eloy. So I'll be sharing it in the Facebook group if anyone wants it. If you're not on Facebook and you still want it, like, let me know. Send me an email because I'll type it up so people know what I did. But I keep my stuff really simple. It's just here's the bowl with the crystals, a bowl with the herbs, and a candle. Like different people have, different ways of doing things. And it burned fairly clear, and it burned down. Oh, since I have time, let me tell you a trick. Now, I got a candle. The wick seemed to be a little close to the side. And if you've ever had a 7-day candle where the wick isn't totally in the middle and it looks like it's burning down to a point where it's still sticking to the sides, and what happens is at some point the wax will melt. The melting wax will like it'll extinguish itself, like you know what I mean? What am I trying to say? It'll drown. There you go. It'll drown the wick. What I did was I took a thing of aluminum foil. I took aluminum foil and I wrapped the candle top, and I put a little bit of rubber band on it. And then I didn't close it up at the top, but I made kind of like I don't know. I don't have anything here that even looks like foil, but I know. So it looked kind of like the foil was kind of like over the edges, just a little bit on the inside. So I could still see the flame, and it had enough oxygen so it could still burn. And by doing that, it made the side, so it makes it by having aluminum foil on it like that, it makes the candle get really hot. The sides get hot so they all can melt down evenly. But what I would do, I didn't leave it on there the whole time. When I would take the foil off and let it, because I didn't want to rush it, because if I felt like if I let it stay too hot, it'll burn quick. And I didn't want it to burn quick. I wanted it to work in its own time, but I didn't want to speed it up. So I put foil on the sides, and then when it seemed like it was sticking to the wall again, then I would put the foil back on. So I was definitely nurturing this candle. So if anyone, I love candle magic. I love 7-day candles, especially because I'm nurturing them. I'm like, okay, how you doing, baby? How you doing? Because that is my intention. That is your intention. When you have a 7-day candle, whatever your thing is that you're trying to, the outcome that you're getting, you got to nurture that thing sometimes. You got to make sure it's burning right. You got to make sure it stays lit, or, however, you got to make sure it stays safe. You make sure that, that like prying hands and cats and children aren't getting into your stuff. So I really feel like, and when a candle is burning, I feel like magic is happening. Do anyone can relate to that? It's like, it's magic time, because I see my candle burning and I'm like, something's going to happen. I don't know what, but something's going to happen. And while it's burning, I feel like, okay, what can I do to help it out? So that's why I'm also looking for those mundane actions. Like, what can I do to make it happen? What can I do to, to get myself closer to my desired outcome? And I was very fortunate that everything that I wanted happened either during the candle while it was still burning or a day after. But I will say that it could happen for 2 months, or like something else might happen in 2 months, and I'd still say that it's related to this candle, because candles don't, or magic in general, you don't just do a candle and then get necessarily a next day response. Although some people do have that kind of, reaction. You might do a spell for something and feel like it is 2 months and nothing has happened. You have made that spell. You have demanded your transformation. Don't doubt yourself. Give whatever it is time to manifest. Some things will take longer than others. So that's where that faith comes from. That's where that belief comes from. And if for some reason you don't get what you want, there's something that you wanted that was specific and it didn't come through, then that means get the lesson. Every spell that we do has a lesson attached. What did you learn? I'd say for this one, I waited too long for certain things. Like there's certain things I could have done sooner, but maybe I had my head in the sand. Like I was kind of like, oh, it's going to work itself out. It didn't. I had to go in and take care of business. So I learned that, okay, I needed to do that. And then also I learned that this was an awesome spell. I got to say, I was really pleased. I felt like it was a laxative. Did I say that already? TMI, sorry. What else did I learn from this? It needed to be done though. It made me take action. And there was something else I learned from this. I know, but I can't think of it at the moment. But I will say that doing a candle spell, doing any kind of ritual, it demands change from the universe, what it is that you want to do. So when you have yourself in alignment, whether it's your desire, your belief, your knowledge, your effort, when you get all of those things in alignment and you do those things, how can you not get a result? And if that result is you're not getting it, that means that there's something else that you're supposed to be doing. And we have to learn sometimes to be okay with that. So if we don't get something we want right away, or it takes 2 months longer than we wanted, it's okay. Just, keep at it. Keep your magic spinning, keep your focus on what it is that you want. Don't focus on what you don't want. Stay in alignment with whatever it is that you are trying to accomplish. And that is how you get to it. My wick split in two, and off the side of the glass candle, it turned black. Woo! Now that I have never heard before. My wick split in two. Wow. For something like that, Enchanted Pisces, I might have to do a cleansing and try it again. Because I'm not really, because that, I've never heard about a wick splitting in two. That's different. I would do it again. I would do that spell again, or just see, how have your results? Did you get any results? Did you feel like it worked? Because sometimes there's messages in things like things cracking or breaking. So just something to think about. Hey, TJ. TJ says, yes, I always feel confident and excited when conducting candle magic. Me too. That's why I said candle magic is my jam. I like it because it's like a one pot meal. It's like you make a stew, you throw everything in the stew, you put your meat, you might put your oil and then saute your garlic and other things, add spices, and you add the meat and then tomatoes, and boom, boom, boom. Everything is in everything is in one pot, one bowl, then you eat it up. I am getting hungry. Rose asks, do you leave candles on when you go out? So it depends. I always say do not leave candles unattended, because I never want anyone to take any crazy chances. Myself personally, I like to leave a candle burning. That's me. So you do not, but okay, there's two answers to this. For me, if I'm leaving my house or I need to go, but I want my candle to keep going, I will put it in the tub with water, or I will put it in the sink with water. I will put it somewhere safe. If I'm I cannot not let this thing burn. I mean, like, I don't want it to go out. I will make sure to move it to a safe spot. However, I also have friends who are like, no, I can't do that, because if I leave a candle burning in my house, I will be so freaked out that I will mess up my magic. And I'm like, that is a valid point. So I think you have to go by what you feel comfortable with. There have been times when I will snuff my candle before I go out. But depending on what it is that I'm trying to accomplish, I might leave it burning, but only in a very safe place. So I won't like leave it somewhere where I'd be afraid of it. I mean, like, I'm not living anywhere where there's what do you call it? Earthquakes or anything, but you never know. And I don't want to take any chances. So by putting it somewhere in like a sink with water, then if for some reason there was an earthquake, it would at least be safe. So go by what you feel comfortable with, but please do not take any crazy chances. There's been too many stories about people who have burned their house down, because of candles that were left unattended. So be very careful. Any other questions? We are now at 4:10, so we didn't get cut off, but I'm hungry and I think it's time for dinner. So I think I'll let you guys go. But I will say next week we're going to do another Ask Auntie on YouTube, and then after that, on March 7th, I'm coming back with a brand new masterclass on Altars 101. So that'll be something different, something new that I'm working on. So, try to have something new. You're welcome, Raquel. Thank you. All right. So if anyone doesn't have any questions, I'm going to let y'all go. And now I got to clean up for all these herbs I just spilled everywhere. It's magic. It's magic. Hey, Grateful and John. Hey. All right. So this replay will be available. So if you're watching this on the replay, it's not going anywhere. So, oh, thank you. Oh, Grateful and John's like, hey, family, please hit the like button. Yeah, thank you. Hit the like button, like and subscribe. I'm trying new things. So I'm learning how to work this whole YouTube business, like the kids. Reading. Oh, thank you. Right. Thank you. See, my husband had to remind me. My calendar is open again now for reading. So if you want to get a reading, whether it's like a spiritual business consultation or a 30-minute or 60-minute consultation, my calendar is open. Actually, not this week, but the week after. So if you are interested in getting a reading, please let me know. Let me give you my email address, marielizzieu@gmail.com. So if you are interested in getting a reading, hit me up and we will set something up. My email. Okay, perfect. All right, so thank you, Grateful and John. Please hit the like and subscribe. Yeah, so like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I will see you all next Sunday. I will be back at the right time of 1:00. And thank you so much for joining me today, because this is my first time doing this on YouTube, and I was nervous. I was definitely nervous. So thank you for showing up. Phew, I was afraid nobody was going to be here. But anyway, y'all have a great rest of your day, and I will see y'all on Instagram and wherever very soon. Bye.